What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of a movie that just came to Shudder as an exclusive for streaming called A Banquet. Let's check it out. So, I saw the trailer for this recently, but I feel like I'd seen the trailer before and was kind of curious about this movie. It had taken its time to kind of come out over here, and now that we finally get a chance to see it, it's an IFC Shudder, release, and they have it out on their streaming service, so if you have Shudder, you can watch this on their service right now. So what is A Banquet? Well, this is about a family, a mother who has lost someone and then has to raise this family of daughters on her own, and one of the daughters starts having some sort of weird experience where she is kind of acting very strange, in particularly not eating. That has left her body in a sort of service to a higher power that has actually torn the family into multiple directions. This movie has a lot of things going on in the movie that do not, by the end, answer a lot of questions, and that's gonna bode pretty hard on some viewers who like to watch a movie, because some people, they just watch a movie to see the story. One thing I have to say about this movie is that this movie is very well shot, very well acted. The sound design in this movie is fantastic. The shots are well thought out. The writing is actually very good too, but everything is very, very slowed down. In this particular case, I didn't mind at all, but there are going to be people out there that are going to have a tough sit that do not like slow burn so much. But for me, it felt like it had enough carrot on the stick every so often to keep me interested going from scene to scene. I wanted to genuinely find out what's going on with this daughter, what's happening with this family, and why everything is happening the way it is. There are some moments in the film where, you have one of the characters who will divulge some bit of information to kind of allude to what the mystery of this movie is. And those moments are pretty impactful and important. They happen throughout the entire film, and I think that might be why I was okay with the pacing in this. I got vibes of something like Hereditary in this movie. One thing I think a lot of people are going to take away from this movie that is probably going to distract them and perhaps maybe a flaw with the movie, but not really, is that there is a lot of eating and things that are going on in this movie. And with this daughter who is also not eating, it presents itself as the main issue, when really there's a lot more going on in this story that others might miss because they are hyper-focused on the eating, and they may turn it into a metaphor for some sort of eating disorder. I think this movie is far deeper than that. This is a lot more to do with the family, the mother, the relationships between your mother and your child, the good and the bad that you want to pass on to your children, whether you believe them or mother them in a way that seems cold to the children. There are a lot of dynamics going on in the storytelling in this movie, which is excellent. I mean, my head's still spinning now just thinking about a lot of the different scenes in this movie and what it all meant. I was like, is it this? Is it that? And I can't say, and I want to talk about this movie with someone who's seen it, really. But yeah, it's going to be up to interpretation for a lot of people. So it's a lot more complex of a movie than I think it gets credit, because not only is it in the writing, but it's also in the direction, which we have Ruth Paxton, who this is her first feature film, directing the movie, and does a fantastic job of conveying not only atmosphere, but well-acted scenes, well-acted moments, a lot of really mysterious vibe going on with this movie. We got writer Justin Bull, who wrote the story on this. I think these two are working together very well. Everything just feels like it's working really well for this movie. Now, this is not going to be a movie for everybody, and I'm sorry to say. This is going to be a movie that by the end of the movie, it's not going to answer a lot of questions. Like I said, it's ambiguous. So if that's a kind of thing that upsets a person by the end of the movie and they don't really understand it, I can understand it. There's been other movies I've seen that have a really strong feeling, but then don't really explain it, and maybe you just haven't gotten it yet. I mean, I had to sit and kind of devour this movie and all the scenes and play it back in my head in order to sort of grip onto what the real story of this is and what the meat and potatoes of these family dynamics that we're seeing in this movie are, because everything that each of the characters say in this movie is relevant to the entire story. Not everything is going to be 100% straight, plain bread fucking story, if that makes sense. Kind of you're supposed to allude to and kind of pick up the pieces to put together for yourself. And a lot of people, I think, are going to be kind of divided on this one in particular just because of that. So if you're not into something like solving a mystery, I would not watch this movie. But if you are kind of on the fence about that, or maybe enjoy slow burn movies that kind of have a mystery about it and don't answer all the questions by the end, you might actually really love this film. It's very hard for me because I'm somewhere in between, you know? Like, I like a real big story, which I feel like this movie does have. It's just not laying it out there to pretend that the audience is too slow to get it, but it is hidden in there ambiguously enough that it's not easy for just anybody to come to the conclusion of. I understand both sides. I think it's going to be divisive for that reason. The whole movie, for me, vibe-wise, is just like at least an 8 or an 8.5. But then there are some moments that just, you know, I wasn't 100% sure what I thought by the end of the movie, and I had to sit for like an hour and really just digest what was happening. So I definitely think this movie is at least a 7.5. I'm probably give it like an 8, just because I think it's a really meaningful story that carries a lot of atmosphere. There is some body horror stuff in it. There is some seriously great sound design and music and the score and everything working with this, all with the acting and everything. I think the mother did a fantastic job. I think everybody in this movie did a really fantastic job. The daughters really had a very nuanced, different type of characterization of each of their characters. The main girl, who you have Sienna Gilroy, you have Jessica Alexander, Ruby Stokes, and Lindsay Duncan. All fantastic performances here. Now, if I had to compare this movie to anything, and it would be a metaphorical movie, obviously, too, probably close to Relic. I don't like to compare necessarily, but not the exact same, clearly. But there are some choices here that are done that feel familiar to this movie in particular. So if you like that movie, you'll probably love this one. This movie just does a fantastic job of creeping into you. Like I said, you know, that's not going to be for everybody, but man, for me, I was just like locked in, seeped into me. I was just fascinated with what was going on and why it was happening. It was unsettling in a lot of moments. The build up to those moments a lot of times were also very unsettling. The outbursts that we saw in some of the characters were very unsettling. It's pretty dark and kind of bleak. This one kind of leaves it open. There is definitely a metaphor going on here and sort of an understanding of the family dynamics that all families may suffer from or thrive in. So if that's for you, I would check it out, but I would love to hear what you guys think. It's really hard for me. It's like, I just didn't know how to rate this because it's not exactly a movie that speaks to me personally, but it is so well done that I really enjoyed it and I loved the mystery of it and I wanted to know where it was going the whole time, even though it didn't answer all my questions and I had to figure it out for myself. It's one that'll be thought-provoking and a lot of people are calling it that. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Would love to hear from you guys. Have you seen this movie? It's on Shudder. But yeah, thanks for coming by, guys. And as always, long live the void.